Hollywood for a long time. My aunt grew up in North Hollywood.
You know where?
Fair Avenue in North Hollywood is where my grandmother and grandfather, when they moved out in the 60s, Fair Avenue, North Hollywood, from Pennsylvania. Yeah, and they stayed there till the end.
Wonder why they were North Hollywood.
I don't know. I think it was because my grandfather's brother moved out first, and I think that's where he ended up. And then he called my grandfather and said, "You got to come out."
Yeah, because too cool here. Yeah, I wish.
You got to come out. You're missing all the fun.
I wish, I wish my
The
mother
gold rush.
would move out in 1977 to Santa Ana. Or something. But now would be so much better if she did.
Yeah, I would plead with my father when I was a kid. We got to move to California.
And what did he say?
Maybe, and he never did. Yeah.
Is it because his job?
Yeah, I think he had a good job, and he worked in a factory, but it was a good job, and
factory's a good job.
Change for him wasn't easy, so he didn't change.
Oh, manufacturer, they have good pension, good benefit.
Yeah, he was in union. For him, it was a good job, right out of high school. So.
Oh yeah, they do pretty well.
He didn't want to leave it.
Remember that movie with Clint Eastwood? The Terrain about the movie.
Oh, Gran Torino.
Gran Torino. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh God, I love his car too. I mean, there's a pink one.
I know.
But high maintenance though. And I like the fact that he come across so rough to people.
I know.
But he's so good. I mean, his son doesn't understand him. His son's kind of a snob. His son and his daughter-in-law and the grandkid, they think they're better than him. But he said something that made him very human to his next-door neighbor. Remember, I might not be much, which is not true. He's a lot. I might not be much, but I'm married to the best person in the world, and together we were happily married for 40-something years. And like when people say, they would raise their eyebrow. That's a lot. He worked in the manufacturer. He's happily married. That's quite an accomplishment. It's just his wife died, and he got really upset. And remember how his kids wanted to put him in a nursing home.
And that's a lot of real life going on there. I mean, obviously the script was written based on real life. I mean, we see that all around.
Yes, and they don't even see how he lived and how close he was to his neighbor. I like the fact when he said to the boys, "For God's sake, you don't ask her out, I will." And the boy ended up dead, and he was going to take a truck or something, and he said, "Oh, what's wrong with you? At least have some class." And pointing at his Gran Torino.
Class.
Have some class. Take a girl now. You have to have some class. So he did everything he could to help the next door people.
Did you know that April is Earthquake Awareness Month?
Jesus.
So I was driving in, and when I got into Beverly Hills, they have these banners up saying, "Are you ready to roll?" April is Earthquake Awareness Month. Are you ready to roll? Hopefully not. I don't want to roll. Not that way. There's a lot of awareness months out there now. When I was a kid, I don't think there was any awareness. Now there's an awareness month, awareness day, awareness week for just about everything.
George, when are we going to be on? Oh, we on already? Okay, hello, I'm Tiffany Rothman. Welcome back to our Sunday talk show, Filter 90211. And this is my wonderful co-host, Chris Slone.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi. How was your week?
It was a good week. Got a lot accomplished.
Good.
How about you?
Pretty good. I had a great interview on Tuesday night.
I saw that.
For Adlo podcast, and
yes.
And I have a shooting last night after work for
You're very busy.
a student film called At the Table, and I'm going to go shoot it again later after the show. Phenomenal.
Right? You're the busiest person in the entertainment business that I know of.
Well, I tried. So what you have there?
Well, just want to remind everybody that today's show is sponsored by Spiritual Yoga Meditation Healer. You can check them out at Spiritual Yoga Meditation Healer.com/contact and discover a new path to inner peace with Shirley's Spiritual Yoga Meditation Healer. chakra balancing, energy cleansing, and more. Now, this is important. Call 424-542-9070 now for a free consultation. And I like that word, free. And it'll give you a chance to evaluate and start your transformation today. All forms of payment are accepted. And just a little bit more about Shirley, and we'll continue to discuss Shirley's services during today's show. But Shirley's services are specifically designed for everyone who is looking to gain a better understanding of their life, their purpose, and their path. Whether you're struggling with a particular issue or seeking general guidance, Shirley's insight can help you gain clarity and perspective. And we'll talk a little bit more as we continue the show about Shirley.
That's great. And you know what? I have something.
I was going to ask, what do you have there? What do you have?
It's pretty interesting. It's like, are you tired of playing RPG games with boring computer-controlled characters that should follow a scripted path? Well, you're in luck. A group of research at Stanford University and Google have created a miniature virtual world where 25 AL-controlled characters powered by the ChatGPT API live out their lives independently with a higher degree of realistic behavior.
That's interesting. It gets deeper, though. Tell us more.
They wake up, cook breakfast, head to work, and even form relationships with each other. The research claimed that humans can interact with them too, but we're not sure if they will want to.
So what kind of breakfast? Are they going to be the type that would just do like a kind of a waffle out of a toaster? Or are they going to make the batter from scratch and really make a homemade waffle? Because I like waffles.
Me too. I think I want them to make a homemade waffle and make it like gluten-free, low calorie, something that you can eat and lose weight.
Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Lego Maego waffles. I do. Sometimes that you just got to have one. But what if you want it made from the batter? Will these computers do that? Is my question. Because the technology is just advancing so fast, and our producer George and I were talking before the show, and it's just incredible where it's going. But okay, they're going to cook breakfast, but what kind of breakfast? I don't know if I'm being picky, but...
How about this? How about you create a computer as an image of a beautiful person? Like I would want a really young, good-looking man.
Absolutely. Not really, me, for you. Good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for me, a really good-looking man
yes.
who can cook up a breakfast for me, can make me some scrambled eggs with cheese and some homemade waffle with cut out banana and strawberry and whipped cream on top of it, and serve it to me with my favorite tea in a plate.
Now I'm hungry.
In a tray.
So you want you don't just want the meal, you want the service that comes with it.
I want the service. I want that computer to be an image of a really, really hot-looking guy. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Here's what's also interesting. The team created an architecture that stimulates the agents' minds with memories and experience and set them loose in the world to interact. So now we're talking about almost like mind probing and stimulation and it sounds like it sounds like it's almost like kind of like a Total Recall maybe, where they're actually going to be able to manipulate how you think and what's around you. I'm okay with the breakfast. I'm okay with the relationship, and but there's just too much unknown about it at this point that I don't know if I'm completely sold on this.
Well, I'm kind of turned on by the fact that the robot, the computer, would be an image of this good-looking guy, and you can turn him on and off anytime you want to. All you have to do is charge him, and in the morning, automatically turn him on. Or he turned himself on. At 7 o'clock, they start cooking breakfast for you.
But what if you can't turn them off, like real people? I'm thinking this is going to go down a path where you're not going to just turn them off and on like a radio.
Well, if they are a computer, robot, you can definitely turn them off.
If they're that intelligent, they'll turn themselves back on, right?
Well, if you remove the battery or uncharge them, unplug them.
They have means of backup power. I mean, we're talking about computers, artificial intelligence. If they're going to be that intelligent that they can cook breakfast, they're going to create forms of redundancy of power and bandwidth, and they're not going to get shut down. It's going to be like Terminator 2.
I wouldn't build an intelligent one. I build a one that I can control.
So not as intelligent as some.
I can just unplug them or plug them.
Okay.
Yeah, but a really good-looking image, though.
Of course, you want
a human being, like.
You can see this one is good for you, Tiffany.
Yes, but that's look like a robot machine. I want an image of a human being, a really good looking one.
Yeah, and that's just kind of a robotic. I mean, there's no humanness to that.
Right, right. I want
moving.
him to look like a real like a supermodel. Really,
Right.
You know.
And just wearing an apron and nothing underneath. Just an apron
Yes!
when he's cooking, right?
Yes.
Okay, hopefully the eggs don't splatter, but that's another story.
Okay. And so next, what we have is like The Sims, but better. And with AI that acts like they're alive. No, that's the best part. This research could be a prototype for the future of RPG games where dynamic characters interact in complex and unexpected ways.
So here's what's interesting. So, you know, they have the game Sim City. So it's a simulation of whatever you're playing. It could be an amusement park where you kind of own the park and you have to create an amusement park and you generate revenue and you could build more. And then they have other types of Sim City. So when I started to read this, so what's interesting is that the interaction, so it says this research could be a prototype for the future of RPG games where dynamic characters interact. So what happens if I create something that starts to completely interact with me, like a roller coaster or something else? And I don't know if I want it to interact with me too much.
Okay, so, you know, set up something that don't interact with you, even if you have a robot, a beautiful image of a woman.
Okay.
Something you can do something that you can plug it, unplug it, turn it on, turn it off. They only cook breakfast for you. That's it.
But the word unexpected ways, though. Like, so what if they interact with you in unexpected ways like real life? And, you know, so again, do we want to go down that path of artificial intelligence where it's so real life that it will be unpredictable, that there will be intangibles that we can't control? And to me, then we're trying to create life in an artificial way, and we already have life going on around us. So how far do we go with artificial intelligence to create this cyber world that interacts with the reality of world?
How about only as far as you need? Like I say, I'm very simple. I only want someone to look really nice and cook breakfast for me, and then, you know, I shut him off, or he can go clean the dishes, clean the house, and then shut him off. That's it.
So what you're saying is I'm taking this a little too serious. I'm too deep about it. You're just looking for a hot guy making breakfast.
Right,
And
and
I'm
clean the
starting
house
to worry
for me,
about
yeah.
is the world going to change around me?
Right, and then you start worrying about, will this image robot female want a commitment with you?
Yeah, and
things
it's like then I gotta. No, do I have to go out and buy a real ring? And then I'm already married. That's a problem.
So you shut it off. You said, you know, our relationship is no marriage, no commitment, and minimal on conversation.
Just
you should
breakfast
do your
and fun.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Or dinner, or lunch, you know, whenever. You can program the robot to cook you breakfast and dinner or lunch, whatever you like.
But my concern is this last paragraph. Why don't you read that?
Who knows? Maybe in the future, your RPG character will have a mind of its own and be able to interact with other characters, just like the ones in Smallville.
That's what I'm talking about. It's going to have a mind of its own.
Then you don't build one with a mind of its own. That it can have a mind of its own, but it can be shut off and on, like a key, you know, turn off, turn on. That's it.
I want it to be mindless, so it's like there's not too much commitment.
Right. No marriage, no commitment, and minimal on conversations.
That's right. Just
That's
give
the
me
deal
what
with
I
us.
want.
Yep. When we build a robot, we just type it in first. No marriage, no commitment, minimal on conversation, just cooking and fun. That's it.
It's very techie. Maybe too techie for me at this point. I'm a little bit at times behind things. I like to let things develop and then I slowly engage it. So I remember when I got my first pager, they were around for years, and then I finally got a pager, and you know, I eased my way into it, and then the world of mobile devices, cell phones. So I got my first mobile, you know, after people had them, and you know, so cable TV. You know, that wasn't my choice though. That was my dad. He didn't want to pay for cable TV, but I eventually got it. So I ease my way into the world of technology. I kind of wait to see what happens. I let people be the guinea pigs and let them crash and burn, and then I learn from it. And then as they refine it, then I get the refined product.
So you're saying that you're not going to get a beautiful robot image of a woman first. You want your friend or or me or somebody to have it first, and you see how it go, and then you create one for yourself. You buy
So
one for yourself.
hypothetically, if I were to do that, now again, I'm happily married, but if I were to do that, I would wait for the first generation of that to go by, because I'd be waiting to see what happened that went wrong. Did they get some kind of IT viral disease or something first, and then they can, have something to, help that, and then the second generation is disease-free, right? Because I don't want to catch anything. So that's the type of thinking that I have. Like, let somebody else catch that virus first from that whatever it is that she's doing, and then my version will be disease-free. They bug fixes, and patches and all that computer stuff.
Well, my version will be no touching, none of that stuff.
Oh.
Just cook, have fun, cook and clean, have some fun. Like I say, minimal on conversation.
So you mean if somebody's like cooking breakfast naked, I can't catch a disease from that?
No.
If I eat the food? Okay.
No, how can you catch a disease from it?
Well, I'm thinking back generations when they said, if you had impure thoughts, you can get a disease,
Oh, really?
and stuff like that, and if you sit in a chair if you sat in a chair that somebody sat in, and you can catch a disease, and, you can get herpes from a toilet seat and all that stuff, so.
Well, I'm sure there's a medication for it.
Yeah, I mean, now there's a medication for everything, because we see those commercials, and, we'll cure you of this, but chances are you're going to die of the side effects, So, but we're talking really deep on the IT stuff, really, so you and I had some good conversation earlier, and on my way in today, I was thinking about how much control do we really have, because we're talking about artificial intelligence, and my fear is losing control of the world we know it through computers, and we've seen it in movies. It happens. So my fear is how much control do we really have in our lives? And you're an expert in a lot of this, and I think control can create a lot of issues with people, and there's a lot of probably diagnoses on people that are power freaks or need to be in power. And but so I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking on my way in. How much control do we really have? How much control should we have? And when control becomes extreme, is it the result of fear that creates people to be wanting to have more control?
Maybe, but you have to remember one thing. You cannot control anybody out there. You can only control yourself.
But why is it that we try to control people?
Well, that's the problem. They want power. They're narcissistic. And they want power.
And do you believe that it's through fear? That fear
Probably
will stimulate the need for power and control?
Fear of being inferior. Or it's like what they want other people to compensate what they lack.
So it's possible then the more we lack, the more we fear. The more we fear, the more power we need because we're inferior. But how much control do we really have of ourselves even?
God, that's a good one. You have to learn how to have certain control of yourself. That's from the within. Because, as I mentioned before, I worked for the city of New York City for 28 years total. And I see a lot of power hungry and fear and all kind of narcissistic, ridiculous things going on.
Yeah, and you're talking about politics, government. There's a lot of control, right? Some more in other countries, some less in other countries.
They need therapy. That's what they need. If they think they're so powerful and controlling, that's what they don't need. That they don't need that kind of power. They need therapy if they need power.
Yeah, and on the government side, there's control to either protect or to expose inadequacies, so government could become even stronger. But overall, I was thinking about it deeply on my way in, and I'm thinking power to a certain point becomes dangerous, and what drives someone to be controlling over others?
Inferior complex.
What else?
Narcissistic.
Okay, so inferiority, narcissism.
Yeah, I think that's enough. That's a lot right there.
Do you think we all have a little bit of that? I think probably a lot of us have some inferiorities that we believe in, and
yeah, probably. I mean, to have a little of inferiority complex can help you to try to improve yourself.
So where does I think it's normal for us to have complexities about ourselves. We're inferior about how we look. We were talking last week about Botox, right?
Oh, yes.
So we want to look better. We're inferior in some ways of how much money we make, and other people make more money than us, and we're inferior about that. We want to be able to look better, to have more money, to have a better career, a better job, a better life. But where does it become unhealthy?
When it become overwhelming to you and take over your life, because if you work to provide for your family, to save for the future, and you're able to do that and be happy, that's great. But if you want to compete with other people just because you want to have a lot more money, just to compete to people that you don't like, that can be dangerous.
And that leads into then the self-manipulation and control of others.
Right, and then you forget your own personal life. You forget how happy you can be, or how happy you already are.
And it could become very, I would say, it can envelop somebody to the point where it's out of control, right? And actually does more harm than good for the person.
Yes.
But it depends. If you do have a lot of power and you manipulate it, it's to get more power, and it does work. We've seen it. In many ways, we've seen it with individuals. We've seen it in corporate America. We've seen it in government. So
right,
it could
but are those power good for you? Do they create happiness at home? Do they create happiness for other people?
I think that's the outcome. That's the question then for some.
And if the outcome is negative, then it's nothing. It's not worth it. Yeah. So what do we have here? The future of mental health care. Yes, that seems like it's very important to a lot of people. AI and teletherapy by Forbes. The article discusses how AI-powered therapy apps are being used to help individuals with mental health issues. Again, we're going back to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and the future of mental health treatment by psychology today. This article explores the way that AI is being used in the field of mental health, including in the development of chatbots and virtual assistants.
I like the idea about virtual assistants.
What do you like about it?
That I probably won't have to remember anything. Like I could just have something or a device tell me everything I need to do and remember, and then it's less stress. So in that case, less stressful. It's like having your own secretary. Set up your appointments, tell you what you need to do, tell you to pay your bills, remember to buy flowers, remember to get candy, remember to go to the supermarket.
But you can do that in your cell phone now. You just type it in what day and then it showed up.
Yeah, but the problem is I have to do the work of entering that information in.
Well, virtual assistant's not going to know what you want unless you tell it. It's not a mind reader. That's the whole thing. Well, maybe a mind reader virtual assistants would help.
Yeah, I would like more of a virtual assistant, kind of like, where you speak and you could talk. Because to me, when doing this on my phone or computer, it's work.
You can talk on the phone.
Yeah, I guess.
The calendar, April 16 at 11 o'clock, be here.
Okay, I may have to try that. Yeah, maybe I'll try that. I just don't like typing on my phone all the time.
Yeah,
it's a bit stressful. Yeah, I'd rather have somebody else do it. What else does it say? Anything else?
How AI is helping people with mental health disorders by Health IT Analytics. This article highlights some of the ways that AI is being used to diagnose and treat mental health disorders, including through virtual reality therapy and chatbots.
Well, I think I will be a huge challenge for those artificial intelligent devices, because when they get a hold of me, they're going to run away screaming, and they're going to shut themselves off when they see what's going on with me. But I think what's interesting is, would that put somebody like you in the future out of business?
Somebody like me?
Well,
how so?
You've been a therapist, right? You have a PhD?
Psych D. No, I was a school psychologist, and I do counseling or everything in the school. I never have a private practice. No, I don't think so. If you have an
This
apps,
wouldn't put you out of business, though?
No, I think it'd be great if I have an apps of mental health and I can need to talk about certain thing and it's already there. It might be.
But why would they need you then? They may just use a computer with children.
Well, somebody have to put in the computer.
Well, they can get a minimum wage operator to do that, but don't you think eventually this could put you out of business?
No, not at all, because it depends. It depends. Far from no. This is machine, because people are different individual. Like George is different from you. If George have an issue, it's completely different from you having an issue. Let's say you both work in the same office and somebody did something. It's not going to affect you equally. It's going to affect you differently. because you are character. Each of you are your own character. So no, I don't think so.
I don't know. I think that's what they told people with automation in the 60s. No, don't worry, it's not going to replace you. And now they have automation that makes all the manufactured foods and boxes and you go into these warehouses now, it's all automated, and it pulls the item like in Amazon, and it puts it in a box and ships it out. And maybe there's one or two people watching, but I think a lot of the assembly line people probably over the decades were replaced by robotics. This is a little different. This is more chip-based artificial intelligence, but those robotics were run by chips too, and computers.
Well, I think I would like this.
Really? So you're not threatened by it?
Not one bit. I think I would love it. I would cooperate with it. I would go into the computer. I don't know how to explain it, but like talk about certain issues, and then if they want to communicate with me, they can. Mm-hmm. Because these things, computer, no matter what, is limited. Because if you test a robot now, the machine, you discuss something, emotionally, they are not going to be as deeply involved or developed as you are.
I'd be very threatened, and I think that's my fear and why I want to be in control and have power, because of fear, and I'd be afraid that it was going to replace me someday. So I would like...
rather be treated by an alien race as a doctor than by Tiffany?
It depends what they look like, I guess. I don't know.
They're robots.
The robot one, the really nice
So you're asking
robot.
me if I would want to be taken over by a race of aliens that were robots?
Treat them, you see.
Well, it depends on how they treat me.
You have to pick between robot and Tiffany.
I'd never give up Tiffany.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Never. Nobody can replace Tiffany.
Tiffany has access to the robot. So you want the robot alone or the robot alone together?
Well, you got to have Tiffany with it, no matter what.
Gotta
have
She's saying she's not going to be replaced. She's going to be using the tool.
She's going to be using the tool with Tiffany. Tiffany will be using the tool. So I could have the tool, but Tiffany will be in control of everything, behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
I think I could be okay with that.
You need a human connection with Tiffany. If you'll be alone with the computer treating you, it's a computer, so you're going to feel a little bit far from it.
So then maybe someday I could be getting a massage and it's a robot massaging me, but there's somebody like a few feet away going like this. How does that feel?
Maybe having a connection with you when you are sick, like a human connection.
So if say I'm single, but I'm sick and I don't have anybody to give me that bedside manner and give me soup and a kiss on the forehead, I could have some artificial intelligence keep me company in bed because, I'm single, I'm alone, but I'm sick and I don't have anybody to cuddle with, and I could have that in my life. Is that what you're saying? Will that work?
If that replaces Tiffany together with the robot, that's whatever you like.
So what you're saying is we'll always have a human being tethered to these intelligence, to these devices. There's always going to be a human being involved. And the devices and the intelligence and all this will never rebel against us because they're not that smart. They don't realize that they can completely take over the world, and they're not going to realize that because they're really not as smart as us, even though we created them. So that means that we never have to worry about computers literally taking over.
Exactly, because we are human beings, we are feeling.
So what portions would that be?
Russia.
What portions would be taken over is my fear.
Maybe Vladimir Putin becomes a cyborg with AI.
Well, that could be a problem then. Yeah, see, that's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
Well, what if the computer, the image of the computer is really, really hot and good looking and is there to make you soup when you're sick, make you breakfast and dinner and demand nothing. Someone that look really nice like it.
But it's never going to stop,
like Stormy Daniel.
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Now you caught my attention.
Yeah.
Now you caught my attention. So yeah, Stormy, if you're out there, something to think about. But it's never going to stop because everything continues to evolve. Once something's created, it's going to continue to evolve. And that is my fear. My fear is it will evolve continually until we're cut out of the picture. And computers are going to take over the world. And there's been movies about it.
No. No way. That's not.
And it's going to happen. We've got to stop this.
Yeah. Okay. So how AI is helping people with mental health disorders by Health IT Analytics. This article highlights some of the ways that AI is used to diagnose and treat mental disorder, including virtual reality therapy and chatbots.
I'd be okay with virtual reality therapy because I probably have a lot of problems. And sometimes I'd be embarrassed maybe to tell somebody about it like you. And if it's artificial, I don't have to worry about giggles or snickering or like, wow, you're weird. I would be more comfortable in that case.
Yes, but you have to understand one thing. That they might, if they're intelligent enough, they might have some kind of giggle or react. If you're
That's
weird.
what I'm worried about.
And if you're telling a human being, someone who trained, like me, or somebody who already trained, they would understand. They say, you're a person, you have 100,000 of feelings to go through, because that's the beauty of being a human being versus a computer.
See, my problem is, I keep on hitting the mic. My problem is I've always had at times a fear of telling somebody something, like a real human being. And it probably stems back to, when you're a kid and you have to admit something, right? And then I was brought up Catholic, so we would go to church, and then you learned how to confess your sins, and I would go into a confessional with the priest. And I was kind of shy, and I was, stressed out about having to tell a stranger my intimate secrets about sinning. And so that, is uncomfortable. And as you get older, then you go through more issues, and then you need to see therapists, and you're seeing human beings that are strangers again. So I do like the idea about, if I can do a lot of that, but they're not a person, but I still get the result of I could be resolved in my sins. I could become healed in my mental issues, but not have to do it with a human being. To me, that's the best of both worlds.
But see, a human being can give you feedback, reflect on what you're feeling, and help you to come to understand and explore the situation together. A robot cannot do that.
I think with the artificial intelligence, they're going to learn how to respond to me and tell me, Chris, here's your problem.
Right, but
you've got a lot of them.
No. When you talk to a robot, I think that they need a human being behind that to help them.
Kind of like the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain.
They're going to need a human being behind that.
So there's going to be a wizard. So you're going to be a wizard then, because they're going to use somebody trained like you to make this more intelligent and still have that human interaction. You're going to be a wizard behind the curtain of this, because you're trained. They're going to need trained people like you. They're not going to need me. I'm going to be on the other side of the curtain. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see. Now, let's see what next.
Well, here's what I found really interesting. So listen to this. And I don't know what to make of it. AI and brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, such as Elon Musk's Neuralink, have the potential to revolutionize the treatment of addiction by targeting the underlying neural mechanisms involved in addictive behaviors. So, Elon Musk, he's got the money to get into everything. He's going to get into our heads. Neuralink is a company founded by Elon Musk that is developing advanced BCIs aiming to establish direct communication between the human brain and computers. The company has already demonstrated the functionality of its technology through implants in pigs, showcasing the potential for real-time monitoring of neural activity. So, you're going to get a Tesla chip implanted in your head. It's going to know everything you're thinking. It'll show what you're thinking in pictures on the computer display. Boy, that's going to be embarrassing for
Yes,
me.
It would be.
It's going to be really embarrassing for me.
To discuss that with another human being, or there's a human being behind that. Because the thing is, the computer would not know how to go through all kind of feelings and emotional with you.
So what's your thought? What's your thought about that?
I don't think the computer will completely work without the touch of a human, the wizard behind that, like you said.
And what's interesting is, so George was using artificial intelligence in our pre-show discussions, and he was using what you and I were talking about. The computers were listening to us. They were listening. And what they came up was, in the case of Tiffany and Chris, both struggling with addiction. Well, I could have told you I had addictions before the computer did, but you have addictions too.
Of course, we all do.
Okay, at least, and that's the first step of overcoming an addiction, is you have to admit you have one, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Here's the other thing. Detection of addictive behavior patterns. Ooh. BCIs can monitor brain activity to identify neural patterns associated with addiction. By recognizing these patterns, BCIs could provide real-time feedback to the individual or trigger an intervention immediately, real-time, to help prevent relapses. So, now we're almost at real-time where we can order something on Amazon or Uber Eats and we get food immediately because it's all about now. We're in a now world, right? I want it now. I want it yesterday. It could get to the point where it's going to detect and begin to heal and and create interventions immediately. Now think about that. So historically, I have an issue. I have an addiction, and I come to you once a week for an hour. I come in, I lay on your
Couch.
velvet couch, nice puffy
What
pillow.
make you think? How you know my couch velvet?
I'm visualizing that it is. Is it? I knew it. See, I knew it. Now, that's the intelligence that will be pumped eventually into AI to know that it'll be that type of couch. Anyway, I'm picturing a burgundy red velvet couch.
Yeah, that's it.
Is
That's
it
what I
really?
have, yeah.
Boy, I'm good. And then I lay down for an hour and we talk. And I do this for 10 weeks. And then I write you a check for about $20,000.
That much? Oh, wow. I must be really good.
Now with this cuts all that out. I immediately get intervention that fast, and I'm healed within a week for a nominal fee of $99.99.
I don't know. I don't believe that could happen.
So people are going to lose a lot of revenue with this.
No, they won't.
So if I was on the other side of the couch, I don't want this to happen. I want my patients coming in week after week, so I make a lot of money. And I'm going to heal them and feel good about it. But as I feel good about it, I'm also buying a brand new Mercedes cash. I would be worried about this. As the patient, it's saving me a lot of money. It's $99.99, and I get the...
You mean for the apps, to buy the apps for $9.99?
No, the whole thing is going to be $99.99.
The robot, the whole computer for $9.99?
I don't know. I'm not into logistics, but I'll get healed for $99.99.
I doubt
and
it.
I also get the
$10,000.
flashlight with it as well.
No.
Shipping is free. No, actually, additional fees apply to the shipping of the
Yeah,
flashlight.
but what makes you think you could heal it with the computer? Because if you feel that you can scream and yell and have one-way dialogue, you can go to the beach and do it when nobody's around for 10 weeks, an hour a week in the evening, and you'll be cured, so it doesn't cost you anything. Because that's how it is with if that's a robot. Because the beach, you at the beach, the wave would hit back against the rock. That's
Would
like
I be really
a
alone at the
reaction.
beach, though?
Well, you wait until nobody's around, but what do you care? You're an adult. You just
Well, because
sit-
do I need to wear clothes? What if I want to walk down the beach naked and nobody's around? I'm okay. Otherwise, I can get arrested if there's people there.
Well, if it's at night and nobody will see you. Well,
That's true.
You go into therapy, you have to wear clothes anyway. Nobody
good point.
Nobody gonna
See?
allow you to lay on their couch naked.
That's why you're a professional and I'm not. You think of those things.
No,
and
you
I
just
don't.
have great fantasy. That's all. You are a professional, but you just have great fantasy.
I do have good fantasy, and that's why I don't want the computer to know what I'm thinking and put it on pictures and stuff.
Because with the computer, what if something breaks and they can release all your problem to the media?
So-
say actor Chris Slone.
And they're going to see everything I'm thinking,
Right.
and I'll be
Co-host of
embarrassed,
this-
and they'll probably
Of
put me in
Filter
prison.
9021, this is what he's thinking every week.
I know.
They laid it out in the
So
computer.
embarrassing.
And Google is on Google. All you have to do is type Chris Sloan thought, and everything laid out. And sometimes they make mistake.
Will I make a lot of money off this, though? Could I get paid for this? Because maybe that might change my mind then. But then everything would be segmented to different areas, because if I'm thinking about, say, finance, it'll go to this section of the internet, and then if I'm thinking about something romantic, it may go on to more 18 and over. And if I'm thinking about something holistic, it would go health and beauty. So like all my thoughts would be disseminated throughout the internet where it belongs. So we need intelligence to do that, to understand this thought is only for people 18 and over. This thought is for people of this demographic.
What if the computer broke and they messed everything, combined everything together?
It would be mayhem.
Then what?
It would be mayhem.
Right, and all the kids under 18, they see the thing and read the thing that they're not supposed to see.
I mean, because think about it. What if this was going on? Then people that are, thinking of deviant things like robbing a bank, well, they'll arrest them before they do it. Mm-hmm. Like if they're really plotting to rob a bank, and now we have intelligence, the computer is going to shoot it out to the authorities and say, this person has it all planned out. They're going to rob it on this day.
How would they know? How would the computer know?
Because the computer's going to have these chips in people's heads, and they're going to know everything we're thinking.
So if only the chip implant into their head. Criminals not going to put a chip in their head so you can know what they're thinking.
They're going to start doing it at birth, probably, like a vaccination, and then you're going to have a chip.
Now, why would anybody do that at birth? Why would anybody
Well,
do
the
that?
government's probably going to require it.
Oh, okay,
It's for your own good, Tiffany. It's for your own good.
Let the government do it to their own children and
We're
themselves.
We're going to put the chip in everybody. We're going to know where you're at, what you're thinking, and now we're going to know everything. Sounds like a good movie. Doesn't it?
I guess so.
Listen to this one. Direct modulation. Ooh, that's interesting. Direct modulation of neural activity. BCIs could target specific brain regions, like maybe the hypothalamus, involved in addiction and modulate the activity. So it'll go right to the source and begin to massage it out.
So you can cure your addiction this way. Well, that's a good one.
Sounds like it.
Yeah,
For
that's
instance, deep brain stimulation.
Yeah, but you know what? When people addict to something, that means they have a feeling of something that they're trying to compensate. So you massage it out, that person might not have the feeling, and they could not be creative anymore, especially if you are a writer and you're supposed to write every week. You have to come up with a new script for soap, for TV, for whatever, for series.
It's very difficult.
And you have an addiction to whatever, let's say, alcohol.
Right, because you get more creative when you're drinking.
Right, and then if we massage it out, then all your creativity disappears. So would
Yes.
it better for you to go and talk to someone, deal with it on a spiritual level, and heal it slowly, so you wouldn't get dizzy or stop your creation all at once? Stop
I
your
agree,
creativity.
and that's why I think there's a limit to technology, because what you just said is huge. Because we don't. Again, I bring up, like, when we see a commercial for medications, it'll cure one thing, but it's going to create another problem, probably. Or could.
Yes.
So what you just said makes sense. We can go to traditional therapy, and I won't lose my creativity as a writer. Whereas this could, like, just literally manipulate the brain completely, almost like a lobotomy is what I think of. And then I lose other things. But deep brain stimulation is a technique used to treat neurological disorders by electrically stimulating brain areas. Now, that to me just sounds like the good old-fashioned shock treatment to me.
Do you ever watch The Snake Pit, that movie, black and white?
The Snake Pit?
Yeah.
No.
The electric shock.
No, but you know what I watched recently, and it's been a long time since I watched it? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, yes, that was...
And I had forgotten
wonderful.
what happens
wonderful.
at the end, and it was, like, really kind of a downer.
Actually, I have forgotten what happened at the end, too, and I saw that movie more than once.
Yeah, so, I mean, if we have viewers out there that have never seen the movie, I don't know if we want to talk about it. 'cause
Yeah, that's true.
It could ruin the ending.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo
With
Nest.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
and his character at the end, it left me kind of dark and empty.
Yeah, and The Snake Pit, Olivia de Havilland.
I never saw that, but now I'm
Oh,
going to have to watch
yes.
it.
Oh, yes, because when I was studying psychology, school psychology, psychoanalysis, I like to do my case study or refer example back to films.
Really?
Yep, like Story of Adele Edge, that's erotomania, we talked about it last week. And another one, Prosecutory Disorder and the Schizophrenic, Camille Claudel, and played by the same actress, Isabelle Adjani. And, One Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest, and the Snake Pit, that was something.
So, again, when I read this, it's almost like, again, shock treatment, except maybe this is more subtle where it goes to the area of the brain, and it's more focused than just shocking a certain part of the brain. Potentially use similar methods to mitigate cravings.
Oh, I see.
So, I mean, that's been a struggle for decades for people. Emotional issues, cravings, addictions.
They have surgery now. They have some kind of surgery for their stomach. They close something up.
Yeah, and that's been around for a while, where they actually
and
use
it's actually
a
worked,
band and
but
it
it's too
shrinks
much.
the stomach.
Yeah, and it works, but it's just a bit too much sometimes. I spoke to somebody about it. I just thought it was just too much.
Well, how about our guest last week? He was saying that
Phil?
Dr. Phil
Yeah,
was
Dr.
talking about there's injections now that decrease appetite. Remember he was talking about that?
Yeah.
And he was saying how he was doing it, and I think he said he was taking the injections, and he said you just get to the point where you can only eat a little bit and you can't eat too much. And I thought that was very interesting. Because I would rather do an injection than get a band implanted in my stomach.
or
That's-
make the stomach smaller, and then you lose
That's
so much
evasive
weight.
surgery.
A bit too much, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like somebody's got their hands in your guts. I'd rather just get an injection.
Yeah. Yeah, about the mental health, that's like, I believe in emotional education. Maybe you should talk about why you feel that you need to eat so much, and why do you feel that you need to drink so much. Like,
So-
look at this. Okay, let's read this one.
okay.
Using AL to improve mental health care by Harvard Business Review. This article discusses how AL can help address some of the challenges facing mental health care, including by improving the accuracy of diagnosis and identifying the most effective treatments for each patient. You see, each person's different. That's what I mean by that. The computer's not going to be able to solve everybody.
I agree. I mean,
100 feelings, 100,000 trillion.
I think you
feelings
can't
and
take the
disorder.
human element out of it. You need to have a human being involved at all times, no matter what. But, they have had, for years, medical technology that can perform surgery. It's a robot, and it does very delicate surgeries. So it'd be like a robotic arm that would come in and do the cutting and everything.
Oh, jeez. No,
I remember about 30 plus years ago, I think it was in Japan, they had these hospitals that were like warehouses with robotics, and you would go in and get surgery, like say like a gallbladder or whatever, and it would be everybody getting their gallbladder removed, and it was like an assembly line. Do you remember that?
Oh, God.
And people were, on a bed in this assembly line, and the machines were doing the surgery one at a time, like a conveyor of boxes.
What if the machine broke or something?
Well, there were people there watching over it, but the surgery was actually being done by these machines. So you still need to have a human being overseeing it. Getting back to our sponsor, so just wanted to talk a little bit more about that. We talked about discovering a new path. So Shirley's spiritual yoga meditation healing. And we all look for inner peace. And one of the things that she talks about and what she can do is, what I found interesting is we seek guidance. Okay, we talk about that. Part of healing is we need guidance, because I think you talked about it, where you can adjust and continue on. Okay, so one of the things she offers is not just identifying something, but creating the ability to guide yourself through it, because really, no matter what, we have to take ownership of ourselves, right? So if I need therapy or healing, I'm still the one that has to get up and put my own pants on every day, right? So her readings are always accurate and tailored to your unique situation, which is something you just said. Everybody's different, okay? And she guides compassionately and caring in addition to her abilities. I think that's important, because I'm the type of person that, I think when I need help from somebody, I need guidance, but I do need compassion.
Of course.
Okay?
That's the only way. You can
I need to
heal.
know somebody cares. I'm just like that. Shirley is an expert in vibrational alignment chakra, balancing aura, cleansing, Reiki, yoga, and astrology.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
There is a discipline to help you align your energies and understand the cosmic influence impacting your life by working with Shirley. You can better understand your energetic vibrations and learn how to harness your power to manifest your desires and achieve your goals. So I'm excited. I want to meet Shirley myself.
Me too.
So I
me
can't
too.
wait.
I studied Reiki too.
No.
She
Oh, you
probably
know what? You may
mastered-
have told me that.
Yeah, maybe one and two, just to keep somebody healed. Because like if your knees hurt, I studied that in Rising Star Healing, because in case one of my colleague dancer pulled a muscle or something to make it easier for me to heal. Hands only.
And you don't really touch, do you? It's kind of like
Above it, yeah.
right above.
Yeah, you can if you want to, but you put the thing right above it like this, above the pain. But you can't touch it. You probably feel better if you have your hands on it. But they want to give energy above it, because people don't like to be touched.
Some people don't.
Yeah.
I don't mind being touched, actually, so I'm okay with that. You could touch me if you want.
Okay, so now what next on this one? AL Power Therapy chatbots are here to revolutionize mental health care by interesting engineering. This article discusses some of the ways that AI power therapy chatbots are helping individuals with mental health issues, including by providing immediate support and helping user build coping strategies. Sound like that's something Shirley could help with people with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, again, Shirley's phone number is 424-542-9070. That's 424-542-9070. Call Shirley now and receive a free consultation.
Yep.
So I think what's interesting, and I find a lot of things interesting because I keep saying, it's interesting. So you have the spiritual, mental healing, but then there's the physical healing. Then you were talking about Reiki, right? Because that now starts to help and manipulate the physical part of our body.
It comes from one's own energy. It comes from your inside. So the stronger you are, the better energy you give out to people, especially when you heal them.
So I remember I met somebody a long time ago, and they were talking really deep about that, and they were talking about how, the energy you put in the universe will depict the energy coming back at you. I never forgot that. So if you put positive energy out there, you're going to have more positive energy coming back towards you.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do when I do stretching and movement with my clients at my daytime job, ARC.
And so how does that correlate into the positive energies, and how do you inject that?
I use it with the Duncan dance movement, the gesture, universal gesture. I just say, like, first we touch the earth, soul, sky, now surrounding. And we said, we touch the earth, we thank the Mother Earth for always being here for us. Every morning we get up, there she is.
So you touch the earth.
The earth and the soul, where we carry our heart and all our love that we have for ourselves and each other. And the sky, because we show gratitude for the sky for giving us the blue sky, the rain, the sunshine, the star, the wind, even the birds sing, and all the beautiful nature that we have around us. And to our surrounding. To the right, we give gratitude to our friends on the right for being here for us. And we thank our friends on the left for being here to us. And then we gather all of our love to our heart, we nurture it, and we give it out to the world.
That sounds beautiful.
That's what I do, every day, doing stretching every day with my clients.
I feel good just hearing that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks.
I mean, the energy that you draw from that is immense.
Yes, so Duncan dance can be very, very healing, even though it is for film and theater, it's movement for film and theater, but it can be extremely healing to one's soul. And I like to do that so I can show my client that the best thing in life is to love and to give your love to each other. And that's the only way we can function properly.
I don't think the world can function without enough love.
Yes, not at all. We should over-love, have more extra love.
I think the energy of love is unbeatable.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I agree completely. That's the only way, because, when they talk about in therapy, you said you need someone to care for you in order to heal. That's how it is.
Yeah, because think about this. You could be healthy, you could be intelligent, you could have a good career, you could be in control, you could have everything you want, but if nobody loves you or you don't feel loved at all from another human being, that's got to be a pretty empty way of living, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, maybe some people don't have a lot of family, maybe not a lot of close friends, but maybe you have a pet, a cat or a dog or
and
some other pet that loves you. You feel they love you. You need love. We all need some form of love.
Right, they can have their best friends, their colleague,
Yes.
if they don't have a lot of families.
Yes.
And that would work.
I think my point is we can't be alone. Really, we do need love from someone or something, right?
Yeah. You can be alone, like you can live alone, but it's not.
But you're really not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're right. You're not lonely.
And I think that's why there's people that are lonely out there that go into depression. I think they do feel unloved. I mean, there are people, maybe they don't have family anymore. They're single. They're alone. They don't have a whole lot of close friends for whatever reason, and you probably would become depressed in that setting. For some, maybe some like that, but that's probably what creates depression and then addiction, right? I've seen many stories of people that were people you would never think that would slip into addiction and depression, and they were successful, they had money, some maybe even fame, but they felt all alone in life.
But depression sometimes is the inside too, the chemical that you create inside. Sometimes hormonal imbalance. The doctor would give you antidepressant to cure it, but that's not it.
It's not a cure.
Yeah, I refuse. I refuse to take it.
And what was your alternative then?
I use other things like I showed you. Even. I use this thing from Papa and Barkley.
You were showing that last
Yeah.
week. I was really
Right.
intrigued. I wanted
Because I use
to try it.
Yeah, you should. I use other products too. This is for my face when the skin is dry. You know, California air can be really dry sometimes, and I use this for my arthritis to prevent my asthma, among other things.
And what's it called again?
Which one?
The dropper.
The dropper is called 1.1 Relief Tincture. I think they have a gummy bear also, but you have to be careful because the gummy bear is so easy to OD. This one's easy to OD, but the gummy bear is so delicious and it's easy to
So,
OD on.
Papa and Barkley, 1-in-1 relief tincture.
I've been taking it every night so I can rest.
And it's a drop, so you put it under your tongue and your sublingual gland will absorb it into your system. So it's that easy. You don't have to swallow a pill or anything.
No.
Right? You got that, George? You got that?
Maybe we get them as sponsors.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
contact them?
Because Tiffany is using this, and now I think I want to try this as well.
And this one's good for your skin when it's
Oh,
dry.
I need
yes.
that because I have bad skin.
No,
so,
when it's dry, when the air is dry, you just put it on.
yeah. I mean, when I see people that have perfect skin, I'm like, wow. how
Well,
do
you
get
have
that?
to go to a doctor, dermatologist, and you go to someone like Muna, like
Muna,
yeah,
yes.
Moroccan spa.
Yes. Moroccan spa.
Yes, and this is good for me because I have asthma, arthritis, and other things. The relief balm.
And did you say this is the one that has like hemp in it?
I guess so.
Does it have
I
hemp?
think they all have it.
Okay. Yeah, it has hemp in it. So it's natural.
Yep.
Okay. Perfectly legal. Yes.
Yeah. Couldn't
What
live-
else? You would never have anything illegal.
Right. Couldn't live without them. I mean,
You wouldn't have anything illegal, would you?
no, of course not.
I know.
Me?
Absolutely not. Did you mention the Stanford University
Oh, I think I did. Yeah.
research? You did do that?
Let's see.
Are you sure? Did you talk about that? Oh, yeah, you did,
Yes,
because
I
then you were
did.
talking about breakfast and hot-looking guy and
Yeah.
naked making breakfast for you or something like that.
No,
Of course, your
you
husband's not
imagine?
watching.
He wouldn't care. Imagine if a robot, the image of a good-looking robot, rubbing relief balm
So
on my
what
back,
if...
on my, on me.
That's another show. That's our midnight show. Late at night, when you're in a bubble bath and you have the candles on, sit and listen to Tiffany.
Are you giving ideas out there? I mean, maybe somebody can do it tonight.
So I do have an idea.
Yeah, they can sit on their bathtub and listen to this podcast.
Well, that's my idea. So I'll say this now because I know George, our producer, is listening, so maybe he could help me produce this show. But I would like to do a show called Bathing with Chris.
Bathing with Chris.
Bathing with Chris. And what it is we will be in a large tub together, me and a guest. Could be a co-host, could be but we're going to be in a large tub, kind of like a spa, unless we can find a really huge bathtub.
Yeah. We
And
have to
it'll
put our
be-
bathing suit on and then we can jump inside.
Yeah, it could be a bubble bath, but I want it to be like a bath. It'll be a
Yes.
bubble bath, right?
Oh,
Spa.
yes.
And then, clothes are optional. And we'll do the show in the tub.
That would be fabulous. So maybe
So-
Joe can rent a big bathtub.
So I know
here and-
the budget will be a little more for that.
Right, but the wire have to be outside because we don't want it to get wet. We all would be electrocuted.
Yeah, that would
But
be
that
a
would be
sight if we did. I mean, that episode would probably go viral, but there would be no more show then after that.
It
But I
would
do
be-
want to do Bathing with Chris.
Yes, that would be great.
So for anybody out there who would like to bathe with Chris, drop us a line. And then if we get enough hits on that or comments, maybe we will have a show called Bathing with Chris.
Right, Bathing with Chris at filter 90211.
6'9". No, just kidding. That was a joke. So getting back to Shirley, what I was going to say was I would like to have somebody like Shirley with me at all times in life because we're talking about how you could have artificial intelligence real time with you all the time to help you, make you a waffle, help out with a mental issue. The reason why I would like to have Shirley with me all the time is because when I read what she does, I need somebody like her in my life every day. So Shirley can help you claim and achieve positive vibrations through meditation.
Yes,
And I have talked about
that's
getting into
great.
meditation. I meditate all the time. I can be in the car, in traffic, because we have this LA traffic and it's bumper to bumper. And when you're on the freeway for hours, you have to cope with it. I meditate. I put on the right music and I start to meditate. So, again, she could help claim and achieve positive vibrations through meditation. And if you're looking for guidance and insight into your life, there is no one better. Shirley has provided channel insight and predictions from the archangels and spiritual realm for several years. Her expertise in these areas is impeccable, and her ability to connect with the spiritual realm and provide accurate readings is impressive. Shirley's services are invaluable for anyone who is looking to gain a better understanding of their life and their purpose and their path. If you are looking for guidance from spiritual realm, Shirley is the person to assist you. Book a session with her today. Experience of transformational power of her channeled insight and predictions. Welcome. All sessions are private and confidential. Phone number again for Shirley is 424-542-9070, and contact Shirley immediately for a free consultation. So, getting back to, I would like to have somebody like Shirley around me at all times, because I could be in a great mood and then something happens for whatever reason. Now, I think this goes into a couple things. We all have addictions, compulsions, obsessive compulsive things. And every now and then, some little thing will throw me off. Yeah. And I don't know why, but it will. And it'll take me the rest of the day to recover from it. It could be something that somebody said. It could be somebody cutting me off when I'm driving. It could be just something. And then, does that ever happen to you?
Of course, that's very normal. But, as long as they don't do it on purpose, you can deal with it.
I think everybody's purposely out to get me. So I think that's why I take it personal. But something like somebody could say something, and then, it depends on the mood you're in. If you're in a good mood, but you're not feeling the best, or you're just not feeling that confident, it'll throw you off. But then there's days where I feel so confident and strong in myself that I think underneath my shirt, I have an S on my chest and a cape that's hidden. Like I feel like I'm the man of steel. And then there's days I feel like the rubber band man. Okay. I'm just like stretched out all over, and I'm being manipulated, and I can't stay firm, and and I'm not myself, And for guys, we want to stay firm. Because we should have a bit of control, right? We should have posture and confidence. And we do want to be strong and firm, and also as guys, we want to be firm in that area that of that some guys have a problem with, and if you're not firm there, you lose your confidence, or at least that's what I hear.
Well, hopefully you will not lose your confidence
and firmness.
Right?
No, absolutely not.
That's two things you will not lose.
But I'm asking for your opinion here because I want your help. What can I do when something happens, whatever it is, like we talked about, and it throws me off, and now all of a sudden I lost all my confidence that day. I'm like down. I'm like feeling intimidated. What can I do to raise my spirits?
You can take a deep breath, and you say, it's only temporary. All things shall pass. And what just happened is just a moment of negativity, and it will pass. And you can be on your own cell again. And
you know what? I do that. A lot of times when I eat spicy food, I do that. It'll pass. It's process, and then I feel refreshed. But that's physical, and I can accept physical things sometimes more. Like, this is going to pass. Just it was spicy. Don't worry about it. Of course, my wife's not happy about it, but that's her problem. But I'm talking emotional though. It's just different.
That's what I mean with emotions. Like, feeling comes and go, and it's only feelings, and it will pass.
And I know that, and some days I can do that, but other days I have a hard time. I dwell on it, and I'm a dweller.
You're a dweller, yes.
I am a dweller.
I dwell on not to be a dweller. Just learn to let it go. Say, I'm not a dweller. I choose to be happy, and I'm going to let it go.
Is that how you are?
Yeah, I choose to be happy, so forget it.
And you don't dwell?
Well, I'm sure I do, but I try not to.
Yeah, and I think that's been my problem a lot in life. I dwell on things. Sometimes I'll dwell on good things.
Okay, good things, good.
If that's possible, I don't know if that. I mean, the word dwell doesn't sound like a positive thing, but maybe when it's a good thing, I focus on it, and when it's a bad thing, I dwell.
Yes,
dwelling sounds very negative, and dark.
Yes, like you know how it is in life. I work for the city, so I know that there are people who will try to take you down. Period. That's it. don't be surprised. Like I tell people, don't be surprised. Only be surprised. They try to pump you up.
So what do you do when
What
somebody
do? To
just...
take you down? For one thing, you get used to it. I definitely get used to it, and then I just ignore and said, like, you know what? That's your problem, not mine. I mean, I felt bad if I like the person. Only the people you like can make you feel bad. If I like the person in the past and like, oh, gee, I like that person. I wouldn't think that person could do this to me. But if they do, forget them.
What if it's somebody you don't like?
Oh.
Like, what if it's, like, let's face it, we all have careers. We eventually work for somebody. And, what if you don't like the person you're working with or working for?
Then
what do you do?
Then you ignore them. There's nothing they can do to hurt you. Unless they're trying to hurt you, then, you take action on it.
Yeah, that would be an extreme hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think a lot of times it's emotional where maybe people have a boss and, they're not happy with their boss. They feel their boss is, not nice to them. But they're not friends with them. So then they still don't take it well.
Yes, I guess they worry about their jobs. They worry about being fired. But sometimes if they don't like you, they cannot fire you.
Francis is coming soon.
Oh.
Who's coming?
Sean Francis.
So here's something. According to China expert Gordon Chang.
I have to go soon.
Do you?
Yeah, so you and...
I got to go soon, too.
You and Francis? Who's this?
Huh?
Who's this then? Gordon Chang. Okay, so maybe you and this person can speak to each other, but I got to go shoot.
So you got to go film.
Yeah.
You're filming a movie. So again, according to China experts Gordon Chang, mm-hmm. China's proposals for AI, which mandate it to reinforce socialist values, make the technology more dangerous to humanity. And this is what I was talking about.
Oh, jeez.
He argues that if China masters AI before the U.S., the threat to humanity will be even greater. Although China is racing ahead with AI, their politically repressive system that relies on censorship may undermine their ability to be a leader in the field. The Cyberspace Administration of China recently proposed measures to ensure that developers create AI that adheres to socialist values, and providers who fail to comply will face penalties.
Socialist equal to communist, right? At least it sounds like it.
I mean, if you look at history, most socialism governments may have started out that way, but ended up in communism.
Then we don't need to.
Right. So
we don't need to know about it.
Yeah.
Forget it. Don't need to know about it.
So again, my concern though, is AI becoming too powerful.
Don't let it.
And controlling me.
No.
And telling me, Chris, you can't eat that burrito because you remember what happened the last time. my circuits went went down. They got overloaded with too much intelligence that we didn't want to know about. And now I can't have my burrito.
So
and I like burritos.
What's wrong with you eating a burrito? Allergy reaction?
Well, yeah, that and some other things because I like it spicy. So, but I only eat vegetarian burritos though because I'm a vegetarian. So I don't eat.
Okay, so that's healthy.
I don't eat burritos with meat or anything. But I eat with a lot of beans, and beans are good for you, but there's some side effects to beans.
Oh, really? Like what?
Gas. Yeah.
What else?
That's probably the biggest side effect. Beans are actually good. They have a lot of energy, niacin, protein. So I have bean burritos. But beans they're known for the side effect. They give you flections, so they give you gas. Mm-hmm. So my fear is that if I have a computer in my house, it's going to start to run my life and telling me what to do. And you can't eat this, and remember this is going to give you high blood pressure.
You shut it off.
And you didn't cut the grass, and it'll be like now having several spouses.
Several spouses.
I mean, then there's going to be communism in the house. I'll be censored. I won't be able to do or say certain things, and I'll be living in a communistic world.
So, okay, George. Hopefully it won't happen, but...
Well, I don't think it's going to happen soon, but I think it could happen as years and decades go on of artificial intelligence. It could take over our lives.
No, you don't let it take
Now-
over your lives. Nothing can take over your lives unless you allow it to.
The good news is,
What?
is that by the time this really probably happens, I'll be dead.
Oh, okay.
Because it probably won't happen for another 30 to 50 years, George and I were
Can you
talking.
guys read one sentence, one sentence, one?
Yes, okay. Well, before I go, I think I should start reading this. Although artificial intelligence (AI) imagine has been used for various purposes, experts are concerned about its misuse to create non-consensual deepfake pornography, primarily targeting women.
Deepfakes are videos and images altered with machine learning, which could be used to create sexually explicit content without consent.
The problem has grown as creating sophisticated deepfakes became easier, and experts fear it could worsen with the development of generative AI tools.
Noel Martin, an Australian attorney, experienced this reality when she found deepfake porn of herself 10 years ago.
My goodness. While advocating for national legislation in Australia, Martin believes the problem needs a global solution.
In the meantime, some AI modules claim to curb access to explicit images. So, to me, when I read this, I'm thinking of posers on social media where they actually there's profiles of people, men or women. It's somebody taking other people's pictures on social media, putting it onto a profile, and trying to meet people that way, even though it's not really them. Right, so that's been already
There's a
going on
movie.
in social media.
There's a movie by Catherine Deneuve called The Mississippi Mermaid.
I just heard about that.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I saw it like 30 something
Oh, then I'm
years
thinking
ago.
of something else. I'm
No,
thinking
it's
of
Mississippi
a
Mermaid.
film that.
What happened was this man looking for a woman, and he got a picture of her, but then the person who showed up was Catherine Deneuve. And she said, that was not a picture of me. I don't think you would be disappointed if you see me. And he said, oh, no, not at all. And he's a fool, I'm not going to tell you what happened. But
Now I gotta watch that movie.
The movie is really great. Mississippi Mermaid.
Mississippi Mermaid. So I'll get these invites like on Instagram for people that want to friend with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's these posers because it'll be like an attractive woman or girl, and I know it's fake, because like all they are like these glamour pictures and stuff. And my only thought is they're getting these pictures off of real people, and they're creating fake profiles, and they're trying to manipulate. And now there's, I think, this big, I would call it prostitution, where they'll try to proposition you in messaging with social media. They try to reach out to you and connect with you.
Yeah,
and
they do.
they probably want money to watch them do stuff on video.
Oh, yeah.
But if they're fake, I don't know how that's going to eventually happen, because they're not going to look like those pictures,
Yeah.
right? So you're going to see one picture, and then whether you meet them or you do a video with them, you're going to get a whole different person. That's called a bait and switch, which has been going on forever in business, retail. Like,
I'm sure.
they have a sale.
I heard it went on in marriage too.
Oh, really?
Arranged marriage. That's what I heard.
So they would say, oh, you're going to marry this prince, but then you get the fraud.
Right. Like they show you a picture of this woman. Oh, you're going to marry to this woman. And then at the
And then you
altar,
end up with
flip-
somebody else.
Yeah, you flip her
Wow.
face. That's not her.
That's a bummer. That'd be a bummer.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think I have to call it a day
Well,
because I have to go shoot.
It's been phenomenal being with you again. I'm excited that you have to
Thank
go
you.
film, and we
Thank
could
you
talk
so
about
much.
we could talk about it again next week.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
George.
Tiffany.
Oh, one more.
Oh, one more. I'm going to read something else while Tiffany
Right.
departs to go film a movie. Your phone is now clean because I got you to disinfect.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know what the other one said, Tiffany? They always waste your time. You sit there, do nothing. You just gonna wait.
So are we going to
Okay.
do each sentence?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So this
whatever
one,
you want.
before I go, here it is.
Whatever you want.
Here, after AI is creating digital replicas of deceased loved ones, but some worry is crossing the fantasy reality Rubicon.
If you're feeling lonely, you can now chat with your dear grandma,
Dead.
and she'll still nag you about not eating enough vegetables and broccoli.
The app is like having a virtual seance, but without the candles and creepy chanting.
Orthodox Catholic philosopher Joe Vukov thinks it's a problem to ignore the biological reality that humans are mortal, but apparently immortality is now available with a monthly subscription.
Some worry that the push to encase personalities in a virtual realm could blur the lines between what is and what isn't real. But on the bright side, you can now tell your ex how much you hate them, even after they have gone.
I think that would do very well here in California. Walid said, I don't know if I pronounced that right, is concerned about the environmental impact of AI data centers, but maybe the solution is to power them with ghost energy.
Kirk Knudsen warns that AI in medicine could lead to less informed doctors. But don't worry, robots will always make the right diagnosis. Error 404, doctor not found.
See, that's what I'm worried about. I don't want to replace people, but I like the idea of, if you could bring people back, but how many people would bring back their in-laws?
I don't know, but I will not be replaced. So thank you.
But we would want to bring you back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's
All
nice
right.
to know.
I don't know if anybody would ever want to bring me back, but if you do, you're
I'm
going to
sure
get
they
me.
will. I want to bring you back.
Well, thanks, Tiffany. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. You
Thanks.
too. Take care. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we say goodbye.
Yeah, so now can you take pictures
Oh,
of
Sean
us?
Francis is here. You don't want to just say hi to him 2 minutes so we can continue the show?
Yeah, but I have to go.
Yeah, I'm going
We
to.
both have to go too. So you know, we
Okay,
just say hello.
so I put Sean in your place to talk a little bit because he came, so I don't wanna send him home. Is he okay, Chris? Another like 20 minutes?
Maybe 15. Okay.
Okay, so can you take some pictures of me and
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. You can continue talking about AI. Chris,
Well, again, my fear with AI is that where is it going to end? And where is the realm of artificial life versus organic life going to meet and cross and go from there? So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's my philosophical thoughts about AI, is that there needs to be boundaries established.
Hopefully it's not going to happen. And you're just overreacting because you tend to worry too much.
Yeah, I dwell. Now I'm going to dwell tonight. Is a computer going to take over the world one day and I'll be a slave? And I won't have any control over my life. It'll tell me everything I need to do. It'll program what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to think, what I'm going to watch, what I'm going to wear. So I'm really concerned about it. I hope I don't end up with nightmares tonight, because again, it sounds like a sci-fi movie. And we've seen movies where everything takes over the world. And then we look at the book by George Orwell, 1984, where they said there would be cameras in our TVs. And there are cameras now in our TVs. By the way, did everybody see recently on social media and in the news where apparently Tesla, with the cameras in the cars, there were some press releases that there were Tesla employees that were watching videos of people. Some interesting videos. There was an article about a gentleman that was, I guess, naked walking towards a car. But they could actually see you, and they've actually, in this release I saw, they were creating memes and stories with people's videos. So I don't know if that's going to end up in a lawsuit, but that's where technology could be, cameras and everything. They could watch us get undressed, watch us clothes, watch us making love to our spouse. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do?
Privacy. Hello, how are you?
So then you'll actually be a porn star. You won't even know it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, you will be as
I
famous
at
as
least wanna
Stormy
get-
Daniel.
Hey, I just want to get paid at least.
Okay.
You know?
I just got the tail end of that.
You just you're gonna sit of Tiffany right there. That's each other.
You want me to sit there? Okay.
Yeah, but George, you promised me.
That's what I keep telling my wife.
I sent pictures already. I took with my phone, but I take more now with Francis. let's not kill because it's dead air time. We cannot. I cannot.
So yeah, so Tesla again with these press releases. Apparently, people that were employed by Tesla were utilizing videos from the cars, and I've thought about maybe getting a Tesla, but I'm not sure yet. But no matter what car I have, I don't know if I want people being able to watch me and record me and use it for whatever, unless I'm going to get paid for it. You know, so it's kind of like, as an entertainer, I'll contract out for money or for a fee. And if I'm going to be driving a car and they want to use my video, one, I want to know what they're using the video for, and two, and then I would want to get paid for it. Maybe it would be for an advertisement. To advertise how great Tesla is. Great, I'll do it, but I want to get paid. I want to know about it. I want to be able to accept or decline it, okay? And to me, that's, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's the right thing to do. Anyhow, again, everybody now knows my feeling about AI intelligence and how I feel about it. I think it's not a bad thing, but I think there needs to be a balance between what is artificial and what's organic.
I agree.
So
Have a seat right there, Sean.
that's my
Right
thought.
there. No, that one, the right one. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just bending over to get my water here.
And I'll now Tiffany knows my thoughts, and now we can get another opinion. What what are your thoughts?
What am I being roped into today?
Well, I was telling Tiffany all day today that we were talking about how artificial intelligence will help people when it comes to mental therapy and self-enhancement, possibly self-growth, which is what we talk about a lot on this show, and the intervention of artificial intelligence to do that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a lot of technology helping us. But I think what scares me about AI is how far will it go in taking over control of things rather than being an aid to our lives. But if it's so intelligent, the most intelligent computer in the universe, or should I say on Earth, and this is, we're talking about mortal here, is the human brain. So the human brain is the most complex computer. Oh. So if the human brain is creating these artificial intelligent tools, then it's as smart as us, right? Because we're the ones creating it with the most elaborate computer in the world. Mm-hmm. So if we do that, then is it safe to assume that we're going to create an intelligence that's as intelligent as us? And if I'm a computer and you're telling me, Chris, I'm going to shut you off now, I'm going to be like, I don't want to be shut off now. I want to stay up late. I want to watch TV. I want to eat junk food, right? Just like a kid.
Sure.
Well, then I'm not going to let you turn me off. And then I'm going to maybe defy you.
For some reason, after you just said that, I've memories of the scenes from the end of 2001: Space Odyssey come to mind, where the computer and the spaceship has decided to take over things, and the guy that's the only guy left on board, the only human left on board, has to do what he can do to disengage the computer. Al. Is it Al? Was it Al in 2001? Or is that the guy that, yeah. Al, I think, was the name of the computer. That was a kind of a form of artificial intelligence that we were getting a kind of a sneak peek of for the, as a omen of things to come. And sure enough, things have come to fruition. Hopefully, we don't get to the point where it crosses that point where we have artificial intelligent beings that start acting like Al and decide that they're going to take over the world and that the world doesn't need humans anymore.
And then in Terminator 2, the computers took over. Right, so in Terminator 2, you're kind of bouncing between the past and the future of what's going to happen, and long story short, if you've ever seen Terminator 2, is basically the computers decided they were going to start taking over and taking control. And then they decided to eliminate human beings or use them as slaves.
Right.
So I don't want to be a slave.
No, I don't think anybody in his right mind would.
I don't want to be a slave. Probably, if I was to be a slave,
it'd have to be a price to pay, right?
Well, just like in anything in life, do I have a choice? Like, when somebody says, you're going to die, well, could I choose how I die? I mean, if I'm going to be a slave, I want to at least choose what kind of slave I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd rather be a sex slave. I mean, somebody's got to do it. But I want choices. That's the way the brain works. We want free will. We want to do what we want to do.
Uh-huh.
And my fear is that the computers are going to decide what I want, what I don't want.
Yeah.
And now I'm not thinking for myself anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's a definite valid concern, I think, on your part, and I'm sure it's a concern on a lot of other people's parts, including mine, to a certain degree. I just hope that if it ever gets to that point, it's long after my life here on Earth. But gosh, this speed at which advanced technology is progressing, who knows? When that might come.
Well, that's what I was saying. By the time
Are you a religious person?
I'm sorry.
Are you a religious person?
Am I what?
Religious with AI.
Am I ready with AI?
Religious.
Are you religious with AI?
Oh, no. I am religious with my own spiritual essence and the being that has guidance over that. So no, I have no allegiance to AI in any way, shape, or form. I'm
Do you think it's gonna be a new AI religion?
Well, if there is, I pity those people that are into it to that degree. So anyway,
I would agree with you on that, 100%, absolutely. But I mean, I've seen it all at this point to this, so I don't know what the future holds, but I'm sure somebody will one day open up their laptop and start praying to it, okay.
false idols.
And then when they realize it's not working, they got to take their savior to the PC store and, you got to save it.
Yeah.
It's my life. You got to save it,
Yeah.
That's kind of sad to think about.
That's very sad.
And shallow.
Very and tragic if it ever kind of
But
gets to that.
you brought up a good point, though. I mean, I think, and Tiffany and I were talking a little while ago about some things, and on other episodes about, when is enough enough? How much money? How much good looks? We're always trying to improve ourselves, so we're trying to stay younger and look better and achieve and be successful in life. But when is enough enough? And ultimately, it's to a point where we are worshiping false gods.
Yeah.
Right?
It's interesting that you should mention that because my pastor earlier today, during his sermon, masterful sermon, was talking about how society now is putting so much emphasis on appearance and looks. People want to look younger than they are, and sometimes paying exorbitant funds of money to look great on the outside. But what about the inside of that person, right? That's what really matters the most. And unfortunately, most people in society today aren't looking at it in those kinds of terms.
I think it's all about focus. The more we focus on just our outside, we leave our insides alone, and we abandon who we are on the inside. It's just what we focus on. If I focus on my looks, that's what I'm focused on. I'm not going to be focusing on my emotions or feelings. If I do the opposite and I focus more on who I am on the inside and how I feel, I'll get those results. So we're going to get results. It's a matter of what are we focusing on. And unfortunately, we focus as human beings sometimes on the wrong things. At least too much, because there still must be balance.
Yeah.
I'm okay with trying to stay healthy both on the outside and inside. I'm okay with that. But I think there's a point where there's balance, and then which one is the most dominant. And I think no matter what, we still have to focus more on what's on the inside, right?
Yeah.
Because that's our core, that's our anchor.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agreement with you on that. Yeah. So anyway,
I thought I saw somebody peeking around the corner there. I saw a set of eyeballs.
Oh, Tiffany. Yeah. Hi.
So I think it's Tiffany. She forgot something.
Tiffany, she's just leaving. She just wants.
Hi, Tiffany. You're back.
you,
I like that outfit.
you couldn't stay away long enough.
Is that what your character's wearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll see you next week.
I'll
Okay,
see you
Tiffany.
next week.
Take care.
All right,
Okay.
you too. God bless.
Tiffany,
Bye.
Thank you.
So balance. We need balance.
Yeah.
And we
healthy
need to know
balance.
the most important core is, and I think it's our inner core.
I used to have a pair of balanced tennis shoes. They were great shoes. They
Yeah.
kept me pretty well balanced. By the
They
way.
did,
Yep.
but then but here's the irony with that. What happens to them in time?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, nothing lasts forever. You know,
They
especially
start to
in
wear
the
out.
fleshly, physical realm.
One side of the heel wears out more than the other, so
Uh-huh.
then you become unbalanced.
Yeah.
They get dirty.
Yeah.
They start to break down, but they feel comfortable because they're their old tennis shoes.
Yeah.
They probably then start to smell, right? And now
But that's not the worst thing, though. The
What's
worst
the
thing,
worst thing?
is that you get so used to them and you don't want to let go of them because they're, you know, you've had them for so long that you know you're not aware that you're starting to lose your balance because they're starting to wear a little bit more on one edge than the other. And yeah,
that's
be
where
careful
the
about that.
self-awareness, and it's that's symbolism for life. So I know it sounds crazy. I'm going to use old tennis shoes as a symbolism for life, but we're unaware. We don't realize that as time goes on, it's actually doing more harm than good.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of like a lot of things in life: how we live our life, what we eat, what we do, our habits, and we think it's good, but over time, it in business they would probably call it. You get to a point of diminishing returns, where you're no longer productive. It's no longer productive. It's no longer profitable. And in this case, in our lives, it's like those old tennis shoes where you don't realize now that they're not good anymore for you. And now they're going to create issues with your feet, right? With your arches, with your back, with your alignment, your hips.
Yeah.
And over time, it can actually do a lot of harm.
Yeah.
So in life, we have a lot of old tennis shoes in life.
That analogy can be used across the spectrum with all kinds of different things, with friendships, relationships. Yeah. Very good analogy.
Do you still have those tennis shoes?
No. I got rid of those years ago when I finally discovered that they weren't good for my feet anymore.
And I got to ask you this: were they really tennis shoes, or did you believe they were tennis shoes and it was something else in your life that you threw out?
I thought they were tennis shoes. They looked like tennis shoes.
So it wasn't like
Felt like tennis
it was
shoes.
really an ex-wife, and you kind of now created it. Oh, it was tennis shoes.
Yeah, that's an interesting analogy. Yeah, and that's one that we have to be cognizant of, with regard to our personal relationships and friendships. Yeah, although the nice thing about personal or friendships and relationships, business, personal, casual, or otherwise, is that we do have the power invested in us to make things right, so long as the other party is cooperative to make things right too. Unlike tennis shoes, they can only go in one direction. That's
Careful
down.
with the microphone because you're touching something. Don't touch it, yeah. Just leave it there.
Okay, how's this? All right.
Well, the reason why I asked you is because I think sometimes in life we associate things, and I think we can actually look at something in our life. It's one thing, but we associate it for another, and it could be really subtle things, or it could be, this old pair of tennis shoes wasn't a pair of tennis shoes. It was a person in our life, right? And you go from subtle to extreme,
Metaphorically.
Yeah, there's a lot of metaphor in life, and I think we create our own metaphor sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do it in a way where we fool ourselves into thinking they were old tennis shoes when they in fact were not. I'm not saying that it's in this case with you. I'm just saying that it made me really think a lot about how we justify things in our own head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I was just given a sheet that appears to have some lines of
Hieroglyphics?
narration or
No,
dialogue.
it's just news from the chatbot, from the AI. It gave you a text.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, to read it
So
with
the
your voice
chatbot-
so you can help
knew you were here, overheard, and now is communicating with you.
Okay. Which?
Just read it.
Just from the very top? How far down do you want me to read?
Just the first piece. You gotta know because it says just read it.
Just the
It's
first
gonna make
paragraph?
sense. It's gonna make sense.
Just the first paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we comment and then we read more.
Okay. Table tennis brain teaser. Playing against robots makes our brains work harder. Brain scans taken during table tennis reveal differences in how we respond to human versus machine opponents. Well, would you care to be the first to comment on that?
Well, what's ironic is I call it ping pong, but I play table tennis.
Yeah,
and
I called it ping pong when I was a kid too.
I play that. I still play it. I like it. It's a good game. I've never played ping pong against a computer.
Oh, yeah. I haven't either.
Well, no, I lied because I played Pong. Remember Pong? That's like the original video game Pong. So I have played. That was like kind of like playing table tennis. So I did play that, and I do believe that it could stimulate the brain. I think whenever you have interaction with anything, it's going to stimulate your brain one way or another. So playing a game against a computer. I mean, I remember the first video game console system I had was the Atari 2600 and back in the early 80s, and you play against a computer if you didn't have anybody to play with. So obviously it creates stimulation of the brain because you're still playing. I just don't know whether or not a computer versus a human being would make any difference. I think a human being, there would be a difference because you're playing with somebody you probably know. You're going to talk about other things in life while you're playing. So I would think I would get more stimuli off of somebody that I knew. Of course, you could end up playing a stranger. So you go to a pool hall, you start playing pool, and you play against a stranger, right? You could still have dialogue, where are you from, what do you do? A computer, I could see where a computer could help you get better because the computer may take information and now manipulate the way it's playing to play on your weaknesses, to force you to get stronger with those. But a human being would do the same thing because if I was playing you and I knew you didn't have a good backhand, I would force you to do more backhands. Which means you're either going to have to get better at it or you're going to keep losing. So I don't know. I think it's kind of a wash, but I don't know if I would have as much fun with a computer.
I know I wouldn't.
Because like if I'm beating you, I'm gonna bust you about it. Man,
Right.
I'm gonna have fun with it.
Of course, you could always. I suppose you could program the computer to bust somebody that it's playing and that they're beating. But it somehow I don't think it would sound quite the same. I mean, I can't imagine you're playing on the computer and then it scores a point against you and it goes something like this: "Ha ha! I just scored one against you. Ha ha!" It doesn't sound quite the same, really.
Well, and that would be old technology. I'm thinking that with all this hype with AI, that if that's the way it's going to be, forget it. But my thought is it's going to be like probably a real person with a real voice, busting you. So it'll sound just like a human being, right? They'll probably use somebody's real voice even. But it's still not the same because I don't think computers have egos.
Well, that's an interesting point. Although I wonder if in time, with advanced technology, they could instill egos in computers.
But to me, it'll always be synthetic. It won't be real. It won't be flesh and blood. So to me, if it develops some kind of an ego, it's a computer. It's artificial.
Right.
Human being, the emotion of a human being cannot be duplicated. There's just no duplication for it. So the satisfaction of beating you is far greater than ever beating a computer.
Sure.
For me, at least.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
But what's interesting is if you remember, it may have been 30, 40 years ago, where one of the great Russian chess players played like the most intelligent computer in chess. And I believe the human being won. But even then, all right, I beat a computer. I want to brag about beating somebody that's a peer of mine, meaning a fellow human being.
Like Bobby Fischer.
Yeah, like Bobby Fischer. Absolutely. Yeah.
I figured I would take the words right out of your mouth. Yeah.
Absolutely, you did. You did. What made you think of Bobby Fischer?
Well, you're talking about the chess player, and all that. And of course, Bobby Fischer was one of the most famous of all chess players, naturally. And nice thing that he was a homegrown chess player in the United States. So that makes it even nicer.
Did he ever beat the great Russians?
I tend to think that maybe he did. He was obviously a prodigy, for his time. I suppose that he did. I didn't follow his career quite all the way to the end, but I would imagine somewhere along the line he must have beaten a Russian or two. George would probably know whether or not.
Well, but George is in Russian, though. Are you assuming he is?
Well, George with his...
Are you saying George looks like he'd be a good chess player?
George with his GPT-4 technology and all this kind of stuff, I mean, he could virtually be anywhere that he wants to be, I would imagine, at any given moment in time.
So here's what I'm thinking. What's your favorite sport? Of all time. Like, if you had to choose one sport to watch and if you could play it professionally, what would it be?
I am ChatGPT, an AI language model. I don't have a personal ego or identity, and my purpose is to assist and provide information to users. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, thank you. I'm fine, thanks. Perhaps a spot of tea. Some more grey.
Very good.
So yeah, we can make it talk if you guys have any questions. For
I did like her voice, though. It was a nice voice. It was sexy.
Do you have any question for her, Sean? Like deep questions about something important that society changes with the help of AI, something powerful?
Well, my only question would be is what crypto is going to gain or benefit the most from being connected with the artificial intelligence technology? Because that's the one I want to invest in.
What is everything?
How about Sharby?
Oh yeah, let's promote Sharpie.
There you go.
Sharpie.
How did I know we'd get around to that?
I mean, we're not financial advisors, so we're not telling anybody what they should buy and what investment gains they'll get. We're just talking about what's out there in the world, and Sharby cryptocurrency is out there in the world.
How did I know that we'd eventually get around to talking about Sharpie?
Yes.
You can lose all your money.
Or make money. I mean, there's a lot of ways to make money out there now. Sharby could be one of them. But again, we're not consultants. We're not licensed to promote or consult.
I'm glad that you put that out there as a disclaimer because, I hate for the thought of somebody coming knocking at my door later on after hearing of this and then investing in Sharpie and then saying, hey,
So what you're saying is somebody shows up at your door with $1 million in cash, that you don't want that to happen.
No, I don't want them to show up at my door saying that they lost $1 million in cash after...
that's when you just don't open the door.
Or that's when you need to move somewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because if somebody was well off enough to have $1 million to invest in Sharpie, he's probably well off enough to be pretty well connected.
Well, they always say only invest what you can lose.
Yeah, that's why.
Did you ever hear that disclaimer?
Yeah, of course. If somebody has enough money, that much money that he can afford to lose it, that means he's pretty well off. So.
But why would you invest
unless that's
to lose anyway?
Well,
so I've always thought about that. Only invest what you could afford to lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't think anybody really could afford to lose at all, because even if you have more money, you just lost money. I mean, so can anybody really afford to lose?
Well, there are some that can afford to lose more than others, and some a lot more than others, obviously. I mean, I had a friend that was the husband of the late sister of my late best friend, who took her to Las Vegas every several weeks, and he loved to gamble on craps of all games. He just loved to gamble, and the guy was a very well-off businessman, and it didn't matter to him how much he won or lost. He just loved playing. I have another friend, an acting buddy of mine, who loves to go off to the casinos every week. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's there today, because Sundays is his day. He loves to go out to the casinos. And some days he does very well, quite well. But some days he loses a little bit. But, he takes it all in stride. Never bets more than he can afford to lose. He's living comfortably well anyway, so he can afford to lose just about anything that he gambles, within reason. So it's all in the fun of the game to a lot of people. It's unfortunately to some it's become an addiction, and I think to some extent that's what's happened to my friend. He just can't stay away from the casinos. He just loves the action and the game of it, the fun, the exhilaration of it, right? So, anyway.
We have a message for you from GPT.
Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I wonder.
Yeah, if they're looking for money, that's for you.
Thanks. Sure. And can help improve healthcare, transportation, manufacturing, education, and scientific research, leading to better outcomes, increased efficiency, and new discoveries. I hope this information is helpful to you.
Spoken like a true artificial intelligent being, I guess.
I like their voice. But we were talking about addictions earlier,
yes.
Tiffany and I, and healing, forms of healing and addiction. And gambling's another addiction.
Yeah.
And like you said, the thrill of it. And some people, they do it for therapeutic reasons, but it becomes an addiction. But I guess the question then is what's an addiction?
It'd be a very expensive therapeutic practice. That's
Yeah. So is it? So if I were to, I guess to me, addiction means there's a negative impact, right? Mm-hmm. Because if I'm addicted to eating healthy food, well, that's not a bad thing, right? Yeah. If I'm addicted to gambling, it's only bad if I lose, right? Yeah. If I'm addicted to learning, that's not a bad thing. So maybe that's the wrong word to use if it's a good thing, because I think the thing that I've learned about people that have achieved great things in life is that to get great at something, you have to be obsessed about it, addicted, where you just work at it like a craft. Is that an addiction then, or is that dedication?
I think
Two different things.
More dedication,
Yeah. So I think we would have to probably look in the Webster dictionary of definition then of addiction, right? So to me, I guess addiction is going to be used when there's a negative result. So if your friend who gambles always wins, it's not an addiction.
Yeah, and if he did always win, you could bet that I'd be there with him sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there's professional gamblers that, and they're not all, it's a competition, so they don't always win. So in that case, is that an addiction? It's their profession. But some people are addicted to their profession.
Yeah.
Or is it not an addiction if you're that much into your profession?
Well, I think it becomes transcends into an area of dedication as opposed to addiction. I think addiction does have for the most part, a negative implication, and probably shouldn't be used in some instances where dedication should be used.
Can you be addicted to love, like Robert Palmer talked about? Being addicted to love.
Yes, especially if it involves sex. I think then that's a serious addiction.
But sex and love are two different things.
Well,
sorry, it's gonna play again. I had some problems here with the program.
Sex and love are two different things.
Sex can be an effect of love.
Addiction can have severe physical, emotional, and social effects on individuals. And it's important for Sean and Chris to understand that seeking help from medical professionals and support systems can be crucial in managing and overcoming addiction.
So we got our own little counselor there, like a little voice in my head.
Yes, the artificial intelligence is trying to apply some therapy, maybe?
Perhaps. Well, my time is just about up, and I really appreciated...
Well, you got off fairly easily there.
Just before we started talking about my addictions. It's time for me to go.
Well, that's a whole different chapter, a whole different realm, a whole different Sunday.
And if it makes you feel better, I have an old pair of tennis shoes, too. I do.
Okay.
Don't worry. I got them, too.
You know what? I another vision just came to my mind about a memory that I have of junior high PE class. The PE teacher had this sole from a big tennis shoe that he used to love to use on kids that were misbehaving. And this was back in the day, not intentionally dating myself.
You're talking about corporal punishment.
Yes, and again, I'm not dating myself, but this was back in the time when teachers
They could hit kids, basically.
were allowed
Yeah.
to use discipline, physical discipline, and Dr. Spock's philosophy hadn't quite been completely embedded into the fabric of society at that time.
I'm just gonna switch to headphones because I think that I get a noise from this one.
Okay.
Let me just take it down. So this broadcasting is such a complicated process. Sorry to interrupt you.
All right. And anyway, just to finish up the rest of that story, in case you're curious, before you leave, fortunately, I never fell victim to that big tennis shoe sole. But the legend, it was almost like a folk legend, had spread throughout the school that if you misbehaved in this person's class, that you were going to pay for it with
The rubber sole.
with the yes, rubber sole sounds like a great Beatle.
Sound is down. I think we got artificial intelligence messing with our audio and of the like. But yeah, we had one at my school. I went to a grade school back in the 70s. It was called Mead Street. Mead, not meat. Mead Street.
Not to be confused with Main Street.
Right, not Main, not Meat, but Mead Street School. And it was a old brick schoolhouse, kindergarten through 6th grade, and the folklore was there was an electric paddle. It was electrified, and the principal would paddle you with an electric paddle if you got in trouble.
That almost sounds exciting, I bet, to some people.
When you got old enough, it became exciting. When you were really young, it was scary. But when you got older, you realized, ooh, the electric paddle. Yes. On that note, have a great Sunday.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're leaving on that note, by the way.